Hey, Brock. I just want to thank you for FaceTime with me again. It has been such a long time, and it's been a hard road being all cooped up in my basement. But this little Zoom application thing, where people just pop up on my phone, really helps. Well, Joe, I am glad to hear about it. Hey, I was meaning to ask you, have you figured out who your vice presidential pick is going to be? Well, I have a lot of great options, and I've been doing a lot of great research on different women out there in politics. They've all wanted to be my vice president, but recently I was watching a CNN town hall. One person there really blew me away, and I think that I want her to be my vice president. Well, Joe, that's great news. I only got to watch a little bit of that town hall. What is the lucky woman's name? Well, it was a young girl by the name of Greta Thunberg. She was fantastic, and I think that with her help we can win the youth vote. And she's also very good with climate science and yelling at people. She is absolutely perfect. Joe, listen. Greta Thunberg is only 13 years old. She can't be your vice presidential pick. What? That's shocking. I thought for sure she was at least 24. She is so mature for her age, let me tell you. No. And even if she was old enough to be your vice president, she was born in Sweden and can't be your vice president. It has to be a United States citizen. Well, then how was it that you became president when you were born in Kenya? Hawaii. Watch it, Joe. Oh, I'm just messing with you, Barack. You know how much I love you. I love just teasing with you all the time. I guess I'll just have to go back to the drawing board on who my VP will be. Wait, what about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? Now you're thinking, Joe. What's going on, everybody? It's Kyle Dockery with the Dockery Docket. We are here with our very 27th episode of the Dockery Docket, and we are just going to jump right into the news, as there is a very, very important news. Greta Thunberg is back, and she is ready to speak on a panel that is filled with a lot of people that actually know what they're doing. Not someone who has a name for herself because she yelled at us all. How dare you? It was funny because this whole town hall already happened, and in her little speech she made, she said, make sure you listen to the experts. Okay, experts like who? Experts like you? Or the experts around you? So people were not very happy with CNN's choice of having a teenager on stage with people who were scientists and have done this job for years. And I don't blame them. Having Greta Thunberg up on this panel is like having a dentist look at your heart x-ray. It is not their job, and it makes the left look very unprofessional, as they have claimed to be the party of science, and that if you reject any of their ideas on science, then you are just being a science denier. And we are seeing this with the lockdowns that are continuing to be in place. And many governors are saying that we are doing this all for the science. Science says that we must remain in our house, locked up forever, and if the economy crashes, that's no big deal. The government can just print out more money for you. And this whole idea that the left is 100% listening to science and making sure that everyone's safe just because of science, has led to something very interesting happening with these lockdowns. There's reason to believe that governors are using these lockdowns for political gain. This happened in my home state of Michigan, as we have talked about on the show recently, that people, of course, are getting sick and tired of these lockdowns. So there was recently a protest on the Michigan Capitol in Lansing, but this protest was a lot better than the first and the second one, as there weren't a lot of Confederate flags everywhere, and there was no storming into the Capitol, which is all good. I'm very glad. Maybe people were listening to the Dockery Docket and realized how to protest. There were, of course, some terrible displays that people put up that were gross and wrong, and I'm calling them out for it because it's not good to have terrible things. And there was some man with an axe that caused an issue, but other than that, people just stood in the rain with their signs and didn't really do much. And I think that's why the protests were weaker than the first and second one, because it was raining out. So people probably just wanted to stay home, and not a lot of people showed up compared to other ones. However, the media keeps spinning this narrative that because there are people with guns at the protest, that it was somehow this terrible, mean, racist, white supremacist protest. And it's not even true. People are allowed to carry guns, and also, no one has been shot at these different rallies, and it makes me wonder if the guns that the people have there are even loaded, or are they just there for show? I mean, I wouldn't want to find out. I hope we will never be able to find out, but it's an interesting point. However, we are learning more and more that Gretchen Whitmer hates these protests, as it seems that these protests on the government are always a negative to her. As she recently said, I do think the fact of the matter is these protests in a perverse way make it likelier we're going to have to stay in a stay-at-home posture. Now, is this because she thinks that people that are protesting are going to spread the virus? Because we haven't really seen anything of that sort happen. Or is this some type of power grab? Is she saying, you better not protest or I will continue to leave the lockdown orders in place, aka listen to me or I will lock you down forever? And if this is true, then this would be a very, very big overreach, and she would not be listening to the science and the data, but instead she would be using these lockdowns for political gain. And if it's the first option, which she's saying, oh, the disease is just spreading, like I said before, we haven't seen that happen. So, is this a power grab? Is this not a power grab? We don't really know. But the idea that people are not allowed to protest is wrong. And the protests, once again, as I've said multiple times in the past, these protests aren't perfect. The people who are doing that aren't perfect. There are bad displays that have happened. But saying that you can't protest is wrong, and it is a violation of the First Amendment. And I was thinking about this recently. Remember in 2016 when Donald Trump won the presidential election and people were protesting in the streets and they were breaking windows and they were looting stores, and I think there was a Starbucks or something that got completely smashed into. That protest was okay. That protest was civil. But people in Lansing with guns and terrible displays, not breaking anything, not hurting anything, they haven't killed anyone. Why is there a double standard with these different protests? And the whole point is that people have a right to protest. And if Gretchen Whitmer is trying to take that right away, then that is not okay, even in a pandemic. Rights just don't go away like magic. It is not just Gretchen Whitmer that may be using these lockdowns for political gain, as recently a team of researchers from the USC Marshall School of Business, Medical College of Georgia, and Augusta University and University of California, Riverdale, have examined the decision-making factors that led governors across the United States either to order lockdowns or to keep their states open amidst the threat of COVID-19. This has led to some very, very interesting ideas, as this research shows that the author's major finding is that governors were influenced more by behavioral therapy of social learning, cascades, and political polarization than by science and disease penetration. This means that the governors that are imposing these lockdowns are doing it more for political reasons and not just by the data and science that most governors have claimed that they are doing for the lockdowns. And another fun tidbit from this article is that a Democratic governor is 3 times more likely than a Republican governor to impose a lockdown. And this was very, very interesting to me, and it makes me wonder, why is it then that Democratic governors are locking down more than Republican governors? And is it some idea that when a Democratic governor locks down that they have this big idea of power? Or are these Democratic governors / mayors just content with the government being locked down forever? Or is it that governors that are locking down for longer are becoming more popular than the governors that are deciding to open up their states. We have seen this in the example of Florida, as Governor Ron DeSantis, a Republican, learned from the science that the sun kills the virus and that the beaches should be opened. Well, he was ripped up and down by the media for this. And many people said that because of these actions, millions of people would die. So basically, the media said that everyone in Florida is going to go out, they're all going to make out, and then everyone is just going to die of the disease. Well, we are now learning, according to latest Florida figures, fewer than 2,000 have died, and around 43,000 have been infected. That's a fraction of the dire predictions made for Florida when the spring breakers swarmed the beach, and those numbers are dwarfed by likewise sized New York, which has seen 12 times more deaths and nearly 8 times more infections. So, once again, I will say every life is important. 2,000 deaths is still bad, but it is a lot better than what New York is doing, and we can see the two polar opposites. Florida is more open, New York more closed. Ron DeSantis getting hate, Andrew Cuomo getting praise, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. As we have learned from New York that it took Governor Cuomo weeks to clean the subway, which were basically COVID-19 carriers, and many got sick from the subways. Along with this, Cuomo had a terrible rule that if an elderly person had COVID-19, then they had to go back to their nursing home, and we're learning that many states had this. Even the state of Michigan, Pennsylvania, other states. It is absolutely a terrible idea because older people are more likely to die from COVID than younger people. So the virus spread and many people died. A lot of the deaths from New York, from the state of Washington, from other states, happened in nursing homes because we didn't protect the nursing homes. We didn't lock them down right away. So you might be thinking the media had to have attacked Andrew Cuomo on this because all this is just absolutely horrible as the deaths just continue to skyrocket in New York. And the answer to that question is no. In fact, DeSantis is actually polling worse than Cuomo in their representative states. So it seems like the idea is that if you want to be popular, you want to be a popular governor or a popular mayor, then all you have to do is lock down your state forever and you will be the champion of the media. And if you want your state to be open, then you're just wanting people to die. And that is the case for anyone who wants the state to be open even a little bit. It is, oh, you just want grandma to die. Oh, you just care more about the economy than human life. Well, the economy does help human lives, okay? That is a very, very true fact. The economy helps people live. So this idea of locking down forever to boost popularity or just because has happened in California, as last Tuesday, Public Health Director Barbara Ferrer made the suggestion during a Board of Advisors meeting Tuesday, saying some form of stay-at-home restrictions will likely remain in place for the next 3 months. Please, listen everyone, don't tell Gretchen Whitmer about this. Please, if we have to be locked in our house for 3 more months, I will go insane. And so, this wasn't the whole state of California, but it was the county of LA, which is still ridiculous, as basically that county is going to be completely in the ground. As if they're going to be locked down for the next 3 months, no money will be coming in, and if the state of California follows suit and stays locked down for 3 months, we can see a mass exodus from California to either Texas or other states that are more open and ready to go back to work. People are getting sick and tired of these lockdowns, and people are ready to go back to work. And we can already see this as people are driving down the highways. If you go outside right now and go on the highway, you will see people driving. You will see people in grocery stores, in Walmart, and Target, and all this stuff, because they are absolutely sick and tired of all these lockdowns. And some believe that these lockdowns are an overreach of the government, and they are getting their rights taken away. We talked about this with the protests in Michigan, as they believe that their rights are being taken away, and so they're getting angrier and angrier. And we're seeing other states who feel like this whole lockdown idea is taking away of their rights, so they are stepping up and saying, hey, this isn't right. And that is what we have learned from this whole COVID-19 business. People don't like to have their rights taken away. And we have learned about this in the state of Wisconsin, as on Thursday, the Wisconsin Supreme Court overturned the state stay-at-home order ruling, and they called it unlawful and unenforceable in a high-profile win for the state's Republican-led legislator. In a 4-3 decision Wednesday, the court ruled that Democratic Governor Tony Evers' administration overstepped its authority when the State Department of Health extended the order to May 26. And it will be very interesting to see how this will work out, as there were many people that were leaving their homes and they were going to different restaurants and they were having a huge party. You know, the bars were open, so people were just drinking like crazy, and it was absolutely great. I mean, they were having a great time, but the question is, was this the right choice? Did Wisconsin open up soon? And it will be interesting to see in the future if they were right. And the answer to the question of, is this choice right, can be answered once people in Wisconsin are able to go back to work, make money for themselves, and if the cases spike, but the deaths go down, and we see the herd immunity, which we talked about last week. And also when people start going back to work, and because Wisconsin has bent the curve, we could see that the hospitals could be ready to go, making sure that if anyone is sick, then they can go to the hospital. There'll be a bed for them. There'll be a ventilator if needed. And Wisconsin can then be proof that lockdowns can be lifted, and then people can go back to work, and life can go back to normal. That's all I want. That's all I want, is for life to go back to normal. And we can see other states following suit. And this could lead to more evidence that governors were using the lockdown for political reasons and not just looking at the science. As the governor of Wisconsin, who is a Democrat, went on CNN and said that the state is now the Wild West. He must think that people are outside making out, coughing on each other, and just spreading the virus. People are smart. We can still socially distance ourselves. And if you live in Wisconsin and you are still nervous about the virus spreading, you are free to stay at home. There's no one stopping you. And that's what freedom is all about. When the government says, okay, people, you can do whatever you want. We're leaving no restrictions on you. People are free to stay at home. People are free to go out and work. People are free to wear a face mask. People are free to not wear a face mask. It doesn't matter because we have the freedom to dictate what we can and can't do without the government telling us what we have to do. And it is sad that it took the Supreme Court of Wisconsin to step in for us to realize that some of the lockdown rules are overpowering. But I am hoping that other states will move in the right direction and hopefully start to open up more and more. We are starting to see slowly but surely that states are starting to open up more and more. According to a map recently uploaded by the New York Times, which will be up on the screen right now, shows that many states are reopening soon, and the only states that are truly locked down are Michigan, Illinois, Delaware, and New Jersey. This is a good sign, as we can see that people are starting to learn how we can live with this virus, because some have said that maybe this virus is going to be with us for a long time. Maybe this virus will be with us forever. Maybe it will be like the common flu and come back every single winter. But we are just finding better ways of fighting it. And that means that we can ramp up different drugs or a vaccine, which could be coming soon and help us fight off the virus just like we do with the flu. So this map from the New York Times shows how far we have come, and also how close we are to being done with the constant lockdowns, and the government constantly telling us what we can and can't do. Soon, we will be able to have freedom again. And to me, that is what is most exciting. So I wanted to remind you that if you are struggling with these lockdowns, that there is hope. And there is a light at the end of the tunnel. As this map shows, we are getting better. More states are opening up than are closing down, which is very, very, very exciting. And hopefully, I'm still hoping for May 28th, we will be able to step outside and be able to go back to work, and everything will be back to normal. But until then, I want to thank you for listening to the Dockery Docket, for liking, subscribing, and sharing my content on social media. It truly means so much to me. And for more Dockery Docket content, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And for more videos, you can go to bit.ly/thedockerydocket. And until next week, on Tuesday at noonish, like my mom always says, be good, be kind, be loving. Goodbye.